The only business network giving you the power to prosper. Here are Liz Clayman and David Asman.
What benefit is Wall Street hoping to get as the result of today's vote? Let's bring in Peter Barnes, who's part of our blockbuster election coverage tonight, John Cannelly, investment strategist at LPL Financial, and our Bulls and Bears, Matt McCall, Gary B. Smith, Danny Fontana, and Mike Norman. John, first to you. Wall Street has already gotten a lot out of Washington. If you start with the bailouts and go at zero interest rates, essentially, what else do they hope to get from this?
I think, markets like clarity, and I think after tonight, regardless of the result, I think you'll get some clarity. So I think the fact that the GOP is likely to take over the House, that started getting priced in over the summer, July, August, and then here in the last couple of days, what we've seen is the markets start to maybe price in the GOP taking over the Senate. So that's not quite a foregone conclusion yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a big market reaction if the GOP does take over the Senate.
That would be the one surprise, John. And if you saw that, then sure, I could imagine a scenario where the markets might really take off. However, if they do what's expected, and that is take control of the House, then how do you expect that much would really change with all of the issues that we've just outlined, whether it's making sure the Bush tax cuts stay in place or changing or keeping the same the health care issue, when the president will still most likely veto a lot of those efforts?
Yeah, I think what the market's looking for and what small business owners are looking for, and they do create 2/3 of the jobs in the economy, what they're looking for is some type of leadership out of Washington, somebody to stand up and wave the flag to say, it's okay to go higher, it's okay to expand your business. And I think with the GOP taking over the House and possibly the Senate, what you get is sort of a sigh of relief that, okay, the big wave of change we've seen in the last couple of years in terms of health care and financial regulatory reform, that's probably over, and now hopefully we can see some more clarity on taxes, clarity on regulation, and I think that will give small business owners the okay, or sort of the high sign, to go out and spend more. So I think that's kind of what markets are looking for out of the election.
Let us get down to business here, Peter. What is necessary for the Republicans to take over the Senate? Would they have to take over Delaware? That is a Christine O'Donnell win, which is highly unlikely at this point.
Christine O'Donnell's way down in the polls. Nobody is looking for a win from her tonight. Christopher Coons, the county executive there, way in the lead. Expect him to win by double digits. What we're really watching tonight, David, is West Virginia and Washington State. West Virginia has Governor Manchin ahead in the polls, the Democrat there, but if the turnout is low among the Democrats, high among Republicans in West Virginia, where, by the way, the president is very unpopular. He's only more unpopular in 2 states. West Virginia has he's number 3, and he's not popular in West Virginia for cap and trade, going after the coal industry. So watch West Virginia tonight, and then we're going to have to wait till later in the night until we get to Washington State, where Patty Murray is in a neck-and-neck fight with Dino Rossi.
And what about Nevada, Peter? I mean, you look at Senator Harry Reid and those issues, people are wondering what might happen there, even though he has held in previous polls some lead.
Well, Liz McDonald just reported that the Democratic turnout is strong in Nevada right there. So, however, Sharon Engel has been ahead in the late polling, so that's going to be a neck-and-neck fight. We won't know the results there till 10 o'clock, but we will have some exit polling that will give us some idea on how that race breaks.
Mike Norman, what do you think is going to happen with the market? We are looking at highs on the NASDAQ, almost highs on the Dow for 2010. Does it take a breather after this election?
You know, there's a lot that I see that almost equates to this buy the rumor, sell the fact sort of a situation. Liz, you talked about gridlock and how maybe the market might like it, maybe it'll be good. I think it'll be bad. I mean, gridlock might mean, as you suggested, that the Bush tax cuts expire, that they're not extended. We also have this expectation in the market that QE2, which the Fed is going to announce tomorrow, that's going to be some big positive, magic bullet for the economy. And it's not. It really doesn't do very much of anything. We're not suffering now because rates are too high. In fact, they're historically low. And also, look, the Republicans are coming in very, very charged up about cutting spending. Boehner's talking about the first initiative he wants to push through is $100 billion in spending cuts. That takes almost a full percent or 0.7% off of GDP. So, yeah, we're getting this rush into the market now. We've had a great run for a couple of months, but I almost see it as a buy the rumor, sell the fact sort of a setup.
Matt McCall.
Well, I love Mike Norton, but I have to go on the other side of this. I think short-term, though, the market is set up for a failure this week. Because you think about it, as Mike said, we did rally for the last 2 weeks. We priced in a perfect election. We priced in QE2 coming in. If this does not happen the way that the market wants it to tonight, with the GOP taking over both houses, and QE2 does not come out tomorrow, we will see a sell-off in the market. So I do think Mike's right shorter term. However, longer term, I think what this shows us is this country is starting to stand up for ourselves. We are not behind the spending that's going on in Washington, and things will change. I think this is just number one. We'll start seeing that 2 years from now and down the road, and that set the market up for a longer-term bull market.
You know what I can tell about Gary B? He's shaking his foot. You know that nervous habit of shaking his foot? He's so anxious about this election. I can tell, Gary B, you're nervous. What's the foot shaking all about?
No, I was actually drumming my hands.
Oh, okay.
Probably came across as foot shaking. No, I do agree with for the most part what everyone said. Starting, back with John saying the markets are looking for clarity. I think people have to remember that regardless of the outcome of the election, it's not like all these new senators and Congress people go in tomorrow and things start changing. We're going to have to wait till actually sworn into office. I think that's going to kind of be a wake-up call. People are going to, wait, it's November 15th. I haven't seen any changes yet. That's number one. Number two, the thing I was kind of laughing about was I've been a proponent, and I've heard it over the past few weeks, this, buy the rumor, sell the news, so much so that it's starting to bother me. Now I'm starting to think, wait a second, maybe the conventional wisdom, the buy the rumor, sell the news, is wrong. Maybe we just keep rising.
You want to get ahead of Mike Norman is what you want to do.
Let him write a check.
Yeah,
buy the news.
Danny Fontana,
the only reason I think that is because the market has been up, like I was saying yesterday, over now 12% in just 2 months. It absolutely has to take a rest.
Danny Fontana, whether you're drumming your hands or banging your foot around or whatever OCD thing you have going over there in Florida, talk about what you anticipate tomorrow, because there is so much anticipation of what may happen, and if one thing doesn't fit into the metric, who knows what the markets will do.
Well, and we've got the added issue, Liz, of what the QE2 number is going to be. So all this thing, we talk about consensus and whether or not we're going to get answers tonight. I'm not sure that we're going to get any kind of consensus going forward, especially if we end up with another additional stimulus package on top of one that didn't work. We got a president that refuses to go to the center. If that happens, now you've got big time gridlock, and that might be the smartest political move to make. But I'm not sure that doesn't translate into just more. An even greater market uncertainty. I'm not at all sure we get the Bush tax cuts through. If they pass it and he vetoes it, we're back to square one. He can say in 2 years, if he just plays, I'm not going to approve anything. He can say, well, the Republicans have had 2 years to get this right, and they didn't do it either. So that might be the smart political
strategy.
move.
He could embrace that, right? Just oppose new initiatives, and that's why there's a feeling out there, as I said before, that gridlock is a good thing. But I don't, we need stuff to happen here now.
Okay,
guys, we got to leave it at that. Thanks to Peter Barnes, John Canley, and of course our Bulls and Bears panel, who will return. Don't forget, by the way, it's all hands on deck tonight. The Fox Business team bringing you special coverage of the midterm elections, of course, hosted by that lovely guy, Neil Cavuto. I'll be here to provide some perspective.
And I will be here as well with the latest technology to bring you the results up to the second of this crucial vote all night long. Don't miss it.
Voters may be faced with a choice of Republican or Democrat.
But our next guest says when it comes to our economic future, that may be no choice at all. His dire warning is next.
Policies, our future, your money. Stay with our special coverage as America decides.
Fox Business is going to be covering the announcement set to be made approximately 2:15 Eastern Time tomorrow.
So could Ben Bernanke and the Fed be the Grinch that steals the thunder from the midterm elections, depending on what it decides? For that, we bring in Tom Belesis, CEO of John Thomas Financial, along with our Bulls and Bears panel. Tom, what would it take to be the Grinch if the Fed does what? What would you see as a scenario that doesn't help?
Well, I got to tell you guys, it's great to see you again, but no one is taking the thunder out of what's happening today. Change is here. Election, Republicans taking back Congress, the economy starting to move back forward. I think that you have a couple of other factors that are important this week, but tonight, it all starts. Very positive reaction with the markets, in my opinion, going forward. We have the Fed, the payroll numbers coming out this week, but at the end of the day, people are very excited for change tonight.
Gary B., is there any possibility? I know these guys in the Fed are supposed to isolate themselves in one of these soundproof rooms like they had in the game shows, but they're going to be influenced by the election. If a lot of tax cutting, regulation cutting people are voted into office that stimulate the economy, wouldn't it be a sign to the Fed that they can pull back a little and maybe not purchase as much treasuries as they threaten to?
Your analysis is good, David. I don't think at this meeting. I think, look, the Fed is like any other group of people. They're going to wait and see, I think, what the tea leaves are reading. Yeah, and you're right. You know, they're supposed to be, you know, completely unbiased. They're not. You know, I think they've been leaning to the left, trying to line up with the tea leaves now, which up till now have been primarily on the liberal side. I think they're going to wait to see what comes out. I think they're going to play it very close to the vest tomorrow, probably do the, you know, the $500 billion, and I think whatever they announce will be quickly forgotten about 5 minutes after they say it, and we'll move on to the next big thing.
Mike Norman, what do you think? What the Fed does tomorrow and announces, what does it have to look like to keep the momentum going for the markets?
Well, first, I'll say I think Tommy's right. I think change is here, and, you know, what's going to be important in the longer term are going to be the policies that are emanating from a new Congress in Washington. But look, the market is expecting some action on the part of the Fed, and I think it is the number, you know, sort of the whisper number is $500 billion of securities that the Fed is going to...
Heck of a whisper number.
Yeah, it's more like a shouting number. But look, Goldman said they need to do $4 trillion, right? So, I mean, anything...
$4 trillion?
Yeah, anything below the $500 billion, I think in the short term, the market might react in a negative fashion just because that's a built-in expectation right now. It could be a buying opportunity if you pull back. So we'll have to wait.
McCall, to what effect? That's what I want to know. We just talked to Charlie Gasparino and Ed Koch about how people are not lending money. Businesses are not spending the cash they have. Lowering interest rates another half point or whatever this causes is not going to get the economy moving again like a rocket blast.
You're exactly right. I mean, we're artificially keeping interest rates low. How much lower can you go? Mike talked about this earlier in the show. When you have interest rates this low, it doesn't matter if it goes down another 20 basis points. It's not going to change anything. The fact that the banks are sitting on this cash. Sure, they're infusing cash right now, but the banks are sitting on it. Until they get this out to the small businesses, it's not going to make a difference in our economy. There were numbers that came out earlier this week, though, David, that they did say small business lending picked up the best level that we've had in 2 years. So we might be moving in that direction, but it does not matter if it's 20 basis points lower or not. We just need to get money back in the economy.
Danny, do you agree with that?
Well, no, I really think the Fed's got a really, really tough thing to do tomorrow, and that they're going to have to massage the number. Now, this has got to be done with some finesse. I think if they come out with $500 billion, all those people that looked at today's election and said, okay, change is here, what the heck changed? We're just throwing another $500 billion on top of $780 billion worth of TARP, $1.7 trillion worth of government spending, $62 trillion worth of debt. I don't see anything changing. So I think what the Fed's got to do is put a lower number in there, say, have some language in there says we're prepared to stand by and massage this thing a little bit.
Well, by the way, Tom Belesis, I got to know what Gordon Gekko. We just saw Wall Street 2. You are the star. For those, they cut out Donald Trump and they kept in Tom Belesis for the first like 20 minutes of the movie. What's going on with that? First of all, how did you get to bump Donald Trump?
I guess it's the natural skill, I would say.
Well, maybe it's ability to make money that Tom has, speaking of which. Who made money today? They're tackling all kinds of issues, so it's voters in Denver. Important issues when they head to the polls today, like what to do with aliens. Yes, aliens of the ET variety. There is a proposal on the ballot that would have Denver's city webpage accept reports of UFO sightings. That's right. They need to vote on this. It also calls for an extraterrestrial affairs commission, David, to review the risks and benefits.
I'm not going to have an affair with an extraterrestrial.
Another example of government efficiency.
Anyway, they're putting all of this stuff on the ballot to talk about the benefits of greeting those little green men once they get here. Oh, yeah, and you thought California was bad. Also making money today, oh, this is interesting, Mel Gibson.
Oh, we never hear about him.
Making money today. The actor may not have a ton of fans these days, but the marijuana named after him is sure to score him a few friends. Look at those tasty buds.
What's it called?
TMZ reports it's called Mel Gibson.
It's named after him, Mike. Stay with the story, would you?
Mel Gibson pot is being sold in marijuana dispensaries across the state of California, of course. It's